Hello, hi, greetings. This is Gilles Mention. I wanted to say hello, to wish you a good day and this beautiful day here. It's like summer, so I'm dressed in my estival. I might go to swimming or to the pool. Well, the sunshine has returned here. I want to see if I can offer some guidance, and I'm going to bring a couple of ideas and answer a question. What is the highest wisdom for us today? It is the higher self. It is understanding who we are. We are this higher self. We are this eternal soul, this spirit group. We are connected to angels and guides from higher dimensions. We are an eternal being of light, which is completely beyond all the circumstances of our life. No matter what we believe ourselves to be here on the earth, it is not our true self. Yet this true self reveals itself through the heart and through the third eye, as every single line and open, and we accept the guidance that comes from within. What we need to understand this partnership is how to co-create with the universe, to be more present within to be more connected with our guides who can assist us in the process of achieving what we need to achieve, or whatever and actually that's what we need to do. The card of the day, what we need to do is to achieve, and our guides will help us to achieve that. If we have to trust, we have to allow the process to happen without resistance. All can happen in grace and ease if we are open to the possibility. We should always ask that life is presented to us through grace and ease, so we may discover the more settled planes, the more the more advanced reality of consciousness that we'll come to discover. And this is the general message. It is a paradigm shift. It is shifting frequency, understanding that all is, there is only one, there is only God, but we are separated by frequencies. And so it is up to us to tune in our instrument to a higher frequency in order to vibrate on a higher light frequency. And those things will happen. It is naturally happening through the many portals that we are passing through. I'm going to pull out a card to see about this Akash that address the Akash, the past life, the memory, because we have this. There is all kinds of old memories. We've incarnated in so many forms and so many times, and since all exists within the now, at some point within the DNA opens up to release cellular memory. So cellular memory can be negative. They can be like addiction or such a thing, or they can be positive. They can be awakening to great love connections or past life experiences, or all kinds of things. But so we want to be free from cellular memory. But before we do that, we have to reconnect to the Akash and integrate all those life that comes from our higher self. Our higher self is if the self was a wheel, the higher self would be the hole inside the wheel, and each life would be spraying around time and space like this, in some sense. So the card for the day is the art, is to be creative, is to enjoy the arts. The art was given to man to beautify his life, to find value, to find beauty, to move the passion to positive passion for these negative passions, so that's sorrow, hatred, greed. Well, maybe not greed, but all those things can be expressed in higher form or lower form. But the arts, the expressions of the arts were a wonderful gift for when we are creative. We are availing ourselves to discover new form of. Well, it depends on the form of art we practice, but it is something that we'll have to develop to become more creative. For we are creator, we are created as a creator, and every being, we don't need to be artist or mathematician or to explore science, or everything will open to us as we tune into this inner presence of soul and spirit and creator inside of us. I wanted to comment. Somebody asked me to speak a little bit briefly of the Ashtar command. For there is a great galaxy of unknown out there to contemporary man, and the Ashtar command originally was called the Jerusalem Orion command. It was a force that was created after the galactic wars to maintain the divine law, to protect the divine law. They're like sort of police. So they are airborne division with millions of ships and billions of galactic personnel. Of course, at the beginning they were very, very few. It was a really big galaxy to patrol and police, So, but in many sense, Ashtar is aligned with Archangel Michael. He's a good friend. He's got a vessel called the New Jerusalem that's orbiting the earth. Everybody's welcome to go. You just got to ask and have faith. Ask to go and see what happens. But you will meet Ashtar or some of your guides there. You can meet Sananda, the commander of all the celestial legions. For Ashtar is in many sense they are the guardian of the divine law. And Ashtar was also one who pirated the BBC in I think it was the 70s to try to send a message to mankind about stopping this nuclear build-up between the Russian and the American. So the message was, in many sense, he was not part of the divine law. He was like, no, you don't do that. Well, I'm going to do it anyway, and he did it, but nothing happened because his intention was pure, and so he put his message that was just. It's one of the first spirits I've contacted, part of the higher consciousness galactic. For Ashtar is mainly is much higher consciousness, but he's a brother, he's a friend, and so you can tune in to the Ashtar command and know that. They're always available. I wanted to speak about law. For all the galactic follow the law. They know the divine law, but humankind do not yet know the divine law, so therefore they depart from the law. In many senses, at the time there was a time where law was very dualistic. The world was extremely dualistic. So the first one who brought into the idea of law to the society is Moses. For Moses, is the Ten Commandments is law. For the eternal law of God cannot be fully expressed in words, for it is an infinite principle of oneness and beingness that expands beyond time and space. And so, but through time and space, there is new ways to reveal. As the Christ updated the vision of Moses, and then the Quran went and complete this sort of religious understanding of Trinity. Where on the Asian side, there is the I Ching, the Tao Te Ching, and the teaching of Confucius are also legal books. For those things are law. And now we're gonna. The Christ also said, "The truth shall set you free." Once you know the law of one, the law of perfection, the divine perfection, it is becoming one with the law, becoming one with love, with the truth, beyond critical thought. And so understand that the law is we live in a magnetic universe, so the law was created right from the start, when this universe was created. But the law is intelligence. There are mechanical aspects of the law, but there are also great intelligence within the dispensation of life. So essentially the law is expressed and felt at the beginning. When we tune into the law, it is reflected to us. It is life reflects us. Life becomes a mirror through the principle of reflectivity. And so as we listen to life all around us, we are being taught and evolved. If we follow the guidance, we are moved towards ever increasing level of divine alignment and perfection. For those who seek to there is the Master of Wisdom taught as also legal book that he produced, one through the name of Hermès Trismégiste. It's named the Kybalion. It's a very it's hermetical principles that are really interesting. It's kind of short book, but it gives the hermetic principle. It is a book that was translated by Isaac Newton, and that's how he discovered. When you read the book, you'll understand how Isaac Newton could be led to make those discoveries following this understanding. So he translated this Corpus Hermeticum, and so that and so it is a right now it is the easiest version is in the Kybalion. And for those who are more interested in more spiritual understanding in relationship to the law, higher perspective, there is the Emerald Tablet of Thought, which is a marvelous book. You have to read it 100 times. I'm on 78 reading, so I'm going to continue, and it opens you up to connection with the master, understanding the purpose of his master, and to follow that law, to follow that one law. Very soon we'll be able to connect to understanding about higher planes of the galactic planes. And the galactics will bring us some understanding about this divine law. For it is the golden rule is do no harm, in essence. Do no harm. If you do no harm, then you're free. So there is different principle that the law can be explained in on different level. For this is another explanation. For the law there is like 6 principles I wanted to bring. The first principle is the principle of inclusion. For we have been taught that life is a separate thing. Life is ephemeral. Life is but then in essence, life being who we are as eternal being, we are eternal and infinite. So that's why we call this an illusion, because we believe that we are not such, and so that we're separated from life. So this law of inclusion tells you that you're an eternal being of divine light, and you've always been and always will be in one form or another, and you are always eternally included within life. For if you were not created in this universe, the universe would not be what it is. For life has all those facets, and we are essential facets in the process of creation and evolution of the realization of the God self in the universe. And so the second aspect of this law is the law of one. For all is one and one is all. And that means that the gods couldn't create life outside of themselves or different than themselves. They all created from themselves, and within all beings they have created the potential of self-realization to return to that understanding of love and light and wisdom. The third aspect of that law is the principles of attraction. For karma, for everything we produce, will be sent back to us. For sometimes we create something in one lifetime and we receive it in the other lifetime, but we do not have the memory of the original cause. Therefore, we feel life is unjust. But in many sense, we have all those things we're experiencing now have been created in our past, the last life, and those are mirroring the same thing. When we do something in one day, we'll mirror into the next day. It's a Hinduist understanding that's been, but it is a fact that as eternal being we will follow our path until we are balanced out all aspects of karma, and we'll move back into the oneness of all, and the law will free us. So the law of attraction, whatever we give, we'll receive. Then the law of transformation, all, like Heraclit said, everything is in eternal motion, except God that does not change, and paradise that does not move. But in a sense, understand that nothing is fixed. Everything is just electrons, spinning electrons. All this matter is just spinning electrons, and even the electrons, they disappear, and the whole universe dematerialize and rematerialize all the time. But it happens at a speed that is utterly beyond human consciousness to perceive at this point. And so we'll discover that later, that everything is just maintained in frequency, in whole, by the gods to provide this experience for the whole all the creatures of the universe. And there is another principle, is the law of grace. For instance, if somebody attacks you and attacks your family, and you have to defend yourself, it's the law of grace. You're not responsible for somebody. So there is always. There are also many other examples, but the law of grace is a law of temperance, and specific circumstances are always being taken into account. For divine justice is divine, is just. There is no failing in the divine mind or justice. It's always perfect, always has been, always will be. And if God would discover a new way better to do this, he would do it. God is not slave of his own principle. He's just a living being, but his inherent perfection makes it impossible for him to go beyond that perfection. And so the perfection is eternal. We have to accept that divine order and return to it as much as we can through the breathing, the letting go, the releasing process. And then another last aspect I wanted to speak about this principle of freedom, liberation through the understanding of law is that we live on a horizontal path of matter, on the cross of matter, but we can be free and liberated once we align our consciousness to the vertical pillar of light. As we align all our chakras to our soul star above and our earth star below, then we are able to, through the breath, to circulate the light until we open our consciousness to those higher planes. Well, I hope this message was interesting for you. I hope it makes sense. If there is anything you wish if you have any suggestion in things that I could improve upon, I'm always open to suggestion. And I thank you for your attention and your support and your time. The painting behind me is for in a sense there is no time, but we choose we choose what we do with our life, and I think it is important that we find value and meaning within our life. So it is important to return to to be as creative as possible and as free as possible with our creativity. This painting behind me is called the Andromeda Enlightenment. For Andromeda is a great galaxy that is outside of our super universe. The first super universe is twice more developed, more advanced. It's like an older sister to our galaxy, which is where the family of light primarily reside, and the family of love reside in Andromeda. And then in the Triangulum galaxy, there is the family of power, and that creates a trio. But here it is the meeting of the two galaxies in the hyperspace, where there is this point of connection between the auras of the two galaxies that creates an ecstatic point of connection that blend in those two fusion of galaxies. It's like a great cosmic focal point. And so this painting is it's a reminder of that. Well, I hope this video was interesting. I thank you very much. I wish you a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Namaste.